What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
What did you guys have? Oh, wow. Surprise, surprise. The fourth quarter is Jmart 8242's favorite segment. Favorite time of the day. Favorite time of the week. It's
all right.
time.
Let's get into this.
You don't have your counterpart here in Big Ben Diesel at Big Pat 44 on Twitter. So I'm going to let you take this. I'm going to ride your coattails all the way for the entirety of the segment. So the floor is yours. We're coming off a crazy card. What we're going to talk about in the fourth quarter is the MMA card, the knockout heard around the world, the sleeper fight, which we weren't expecting with, Thug Rose, and the guy who couldn't make weight and wins the fight, but can't get the title. So those are the headlines for it. I'm going to let my man Jmart 8242 take you guys through it. He's going to give you the scoop. You guys, though, the card might not have been great, but the pod that you and Ben did, you guys picked some fucking winners, and I'm going to let you go over all of that, man. The floor is yours. Take it away.
All right, so Ron alluded to the MMA tap hour like we love to have. This is the MMA tap minute. I was going to be brief. We had 3 fights that we're going to go over. If you watch the MMA tap hour, you cashed on the last 3 fights, the ones that we talked about. The first one was Chandler and Tony Ferguson. Mm-hmm. This is the only part that we got wrong all night. We said that Tony Ferguson could not be finished. He had gone up against Oliveira. He had his arm bent backwards and didn't tap out. He went through Gaichi. It took the ref to stop it because he wouldn't fall. And he was taking some of the craziest shots, the toughest shots I've ever seen Tony Ferguson take, and he didn't fall once. So I thought, oh, it's going to be no problem as far as that goes. He's going to get through the fight. You can bank that he's at least going to get through the fight at minimum. That's what we're going to bank on. Sure enough, the knockout heard around the world, the craziest front kick I've ever seen as far as power goes. He sent him into the other world, bro. This Tony was in another dimension. He falls flat face forward, and he's on the floor for what seemed like eternity. I mean, people said he never got up. The people that were there, I had a cousin go, by the way, and he was like,
wow.
He kind of ruined it for me in a way because he's seen it in live time. He texts me, go to sleep, MF. And sure enough, this dude's on the floor 10 seconds later on my TV. I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? The craziest fight. So if you had Chandler like we did, you cashed in there. Second off, we gave you the underdog pick. I said the live dog will be Carla Esparza. She chain wrestles really good. You should take her. There's a really good chance she gets this win. Sure enough, I had her winning 4 rounds to 1. She put the pressure. She was pushing the pace a little bit more, and she controlled the octagon. That's what the judging criteria had to go by because this was a snooze fest. I mean, if you were watching that fight, God be with you, man, because it was bad. I was watching the Canelo fight also. I put that one on the main screen, and I was watching the other one on my smaller screen because it didn't deserve my main screen, and that's because I am somewhat of a Namajunas fan. But yeah, I think the fault there was her coach, her fiance, the cornering advice that he was giving her. He was acting like he was the main head coach and not giving Trevor Whitman, who we gave coach of the year of last year, any chance to, hey, let's go in a different route. The game plan's not working after all. Nothing. And today he came out on a podcast and said, oh, it's because the UFC had a slippery octagon. Otherwise, we're knocking her out. I'm like, nah, man, I don't think that's the case. I think she needs to get away. I think she needs to get away from Colorado. I want to say Trevor Whitman has taken her as far as he can take her, and a new camp could bless her and give her some new skills. And I almost feel like she's already kind of seen that because today it came out that she had messaged Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's fighting another girl this next 2 weeks, if she could go to her camp and help her out. So they used to be foes, but it kind of seems like she's trying to branch out a little bit, extending an olive branch to Joanna. And I think Joanna's kind of going to take that there. So we'll see what happens. And then we have the main event, which is Chucky Olives and Justin Gaichi. Unfortunately for Chucky Olives, something was up with the scales. I mean, you have 20 out of 30 fighters going a half pound over. He weighed in the night before. He's exactly at the 155 championship weight, doesn't eat anything, shows up to the backstage, weighs 155 backstage, goes up to the scale. Unfortunately, these are not digital scales. And I think that's what needs to be called for now is for the UFC to have a live digital scale where it's even connected to a server that's not within them, so that we can see what the weight is. I don't know why his team let him leave at 156 and not come back and make weight. When he came back, he didn't look like he had sweat, nothing. I don't know if they just made him, get a little more water out, but he looked super dry coming back, and he didn't make weight. He was 155.5, so the only one eligible that night was Justin Gaichi for the title. Man, Charles Oliveira, he's put on a streak. When he gets hit, he has this new technique these last 3 fights, because he's been dropped in every round of the first round in the last 3 fights, where he goes down into a submission to shell up a little bit, and he waits for you to come into his guard, and then he's a submission specialist. He's a snake on the ground. He's going to get you every time. And if you do come into his guard, he's going to get you. If you don't, you want to stand up, you don't want to get in there, you know what the ref's going to do? He's going to stand him up, and you can't touch him for those few seconds while he gets up. He gets up very slow, gets his bearings back, and then he finishes fights. There's a lot of talk about, there's a hype train on him. No, man, I think the boat is sailed on this guy. He is the real deal. The resumes are already there. So if you're not believing already, it's too late to start believing now. He's got the resume. Unfortunately, he's going to be the number 1 contender. And who knows what's going to be fed to him next. There's a lot of rumors it'll be Islam Makhachev. I know they want Islam and Benil to fight each other to get that going. I'm not sure how it's going to end, but it would be very unfortunate if he says, you know what, I'm not ready for that July. I'm going to go to November, December, and they book some interim fight with somebody else, because he never lost a championship. And a lot of the fight fans and the community says, you know what, he is still the champion. We recognize him as a champ. I mean, a half a pound. The thing that I saw someone say is he didn't weigh 156. So he weighed 155.5. So on the scale, you can't say he's over. He's still 155. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. The rules are in place. It's unfortunate, but let's see what gets scheduled for that lightweight title. All the people in the lightweight division are chirping at each other. This division is moving, and it's exciting to see.
I like that.
The lightweight division is one of the most exciting divisions, in my opinion. You're not as light as the bantamweights, and you still have some of that knockout power that some of the heavier weight classes have. So it's kind of the perfect combination. I thought you brought up a good point though, Justin, about Dubronx and pulling guard. He even pulled Justin Gaethje down. I think it counted as a takedown from the clinch. I was going to say he's also
in the Muay Thai clinch. He pulled guard.
Yeah. He's very strong from the clinch. That was very, surprising for me to see how much stronger he was than Gaichi in all of those exchanges. But yeah, he survived the early flurry from Gaichi. When Gaichi connects, he usually puts you out, or he puts you down, at least knocks you down. So good to see him recover from that and retain. He's still the champion in my eyes. So he retained the title that night. But yeah, great night of fights. And that Rose Namajunas fight, don't even want to spend time. You covered it well enough, but low sleeper there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as UFC pay-per-views go, it was what the fans wanted. It was good for UFC. You got a stupid, crazy knockout highlight reel. The only, I'm not going to say it again, but the snooze fest was, the lady fight, like Ben likes to say, that's the one where you get up and, go take your restroom break or whatever else you do on your breaks. The title fight, wasn't very long, but there was controversy, which is good for, the media, which is good for the headlines. The guy who, didn't make weight won, which also, helps, and it put more respect on his name. I saw not only from the casual fan, but a lot of MMA stars and people around the sport who know it really well saying, you know what, I will admit, I wasn't high on him. I thought he had a lot of clout. I thought it was all hype, but now put some respect on his name, Birdman. So I was one of those guys who was kind of like, who is this dude? Like, he got a couple lucky, subs, but dude's a real deal.
33 wins, Ron. Only 3 of them haven't been a finish. This guy finishes fights.
That right there is a crazy, crazy stat. So overall, it was a good weekend for fight fans, unless you were Hispanic, Latino, Mexican. I have to bring this up. I know it's MMA, but what were y'all's thoughts on the Canelo fight?
Well, I knew that Bivio would be trouble for Canelo just because he had a better defensive rate than Shakur Stevenson. And we saw what a good jab does to Canelo when we saw Triple G fight him. And this was a younger, not, I won't say better than Triple G already, but he's at that level and the stylistics match up. And so if Canelo had trouble with Triple G, why would he not have trouble with a better defender and a better jabber in Bivio? So I kind of expected that. I knew that the scorecards would get funky in the end. You know, they're going to still go and pull for Canelo. 115, 113 is ridiculous. Canelo maybe won 2 rounds.
Yeah.
He looked out of shape at that weight. I mean, he looked so tired in between rounds. This wasn't the normal Canelo. He's going to have to go back down to that 160. And it looks like Bivens down to go chase him in those belts down there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, takeaway.
I'm glad you brought up.
Go, Roland.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you brought up. I was just going to say, I'm glad you brought up the weight. I think Canelo finally bit off a little bit too much for him to chew.
Yeah.
He's been moving up in these weight classes for the past couple of years. And he's been met with success at each stop, but I think this was just a little too much for him. Like Justin said, you saw him have trouble with Triple G. This was just a bigger challenge, and he wasn't up to the task. Fight cards or scorecards are always a little funky, but you had to expect that they're going to pull for the money man, and that's Canelo right now. He's the cash cow. So
number one as far as money goes.
Fights. Yeah, crazy night of fights. Ron, I'll let you get to it because you brought it up, and I'm sure you're a little pissed because you were rooting for Canelo, or no?
Ron's anti-Canelo. You know this.
Being a Triple G fan, man, being a fan of Triple G, and the fact that he got robbed in the first Canelo fight, I was very happy to see this. I didn't like Canelo at the beginning because of Triple G fight, but then he grew on me. You know, he was winning fights. You know, he represents, our Mexican heritage and our Mexican culture. And I was starting to fall in love with the guy again. And then he comes out and he just puts up this totally complete dud of a fight. As soon as he walked out, he did not look in shape. That was the first thing I noticed. You've seen Canelo. I mean, I know he weighed more, but you've seen him, the 6-pack, the biceps, the oiled up. He came out, he looked flabby. He looked tired. He didn't look as focused. I mean, it might not be because of this. This is just something random. But my cousin Aldo said that he just started, kind of like doing the social life, drinking. He had never drank before, supposedly. Now he drinks and,
he golfs all the time now.
He golfs. His head is in a lot of other places now. He's this global superstar. So I don't think he was as focused, on this fight. I did like how he just admitted it. Post-fight interview, he just said, you know what? The better man won. It's boxing. It is what it is. The only thing that he did kind of say was, I felt I didn't have to win the fight, which I think you just have to say that because you can't throw yourself completely under the bus. But he admitted to it. He was down for the rematch, which is really good. I don't like when they come out and say, well, I'm going to talk to my team and see what's best for me next and yada, yada, yada. He was down for it. Bivol was down for it. Hopefully they do it again. Can Canelo win? Canelo, to me, always has a chance to win, even against a bigger guy. He just has to come in a little bit more focused. But, man, Bivol dude impressed me. I'll be honest, I had never heard of this guy before. His defense was top notch. He had nothing on his face, no blemishes, even on the shoulders. Usually they'll get scratches, for maybe the tape, or say some laces.
His arm was jacked.
Yeah, I mean
that's the only thing because Canelo kept hitting arms, shoulders.
Yeah, nothing really. That guy's defense was very, very strong, and the speed of this guy. I mean, I had never seen Canelo get hit, once or twice. And this guy was hitting him 3-4 times, Fleury, very, very fast. He was pushing Canelo up against the ropes. Canelo just ran into the bigger, stronger guy, and he wasn't prepared for it at all. Is it over for Canelo? Hell no. As you guys said, if he goes back down in weight, fights the guys who he's supposed to, he can steamroll them. But I just don't know if Canelo's about that. I mean, do you want to go against guys who you're going to beat? You want the challenge, So I'm still excited for his career. I still want to see him box. I really still love the guy. I'm kind of glad that he took the L because I didn't want a undefeated Mexican, fighter. I'm a big Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. fan. I grew up watching him with my
grandpa.
Gran Campeón. So I'm kind of glad he took the L, brought him a little bit back down to earth. But overall, to sum it up, a great weekend of mixed martial arts and of boxing. Great for the fans, and I'm glad that it happened because we needed some solid performances on both sides. We always have a great MMA card, shitty boxing, or shitty boxing and great MMA, or vice versa, however you want to say it. But overall, good weekend for fight fans.
And Justin, you being the MMA expert along with Ben, and the fight game expert along with Ben, is there what do we have to look forward to in the coming weeks? Are there any big fights or any big cards to look forward to?
Jamal, one of the twins is fighting this weekend.
Charlo.
They're running it back. One of the Charlo brothers. There's a UFC, the next pay-per-view that's coming up. There's a fight night, but there's a pay-per-view coming up, 275. A lot of debates on whether that warrants being a pay-per-view. You got Yuri Prochaska and Glover Teixeira highlighting that card, and a lot of people are saying they're kind of the leftovers of the light heavyweight division. I'm not sure that's a $75 investment as far as watching that card.
Well, will Uncle Dana give it to us for that $55? He'll maybe.
No, I don't think he will. I think it's like a set thing as far as accounting goes. I don't think he will. But I don't know. We'll see. Rough and Rowdy, if you like that sort of thing, May 20th, I think that's coming up too. So.
Yeah, I mean, you have Glover Teixeira. I mean, this guy is
old.
He's still fighting. I mean, that's the person that I think of.
He's a champ, though.
I mean, I know he's a champ, but at light heavyweight, you're gonna have Glover Teixeira. I mean, where are the light heavyweights at? Put
well,
this guy
John and DC are gone, and we saw what he did to that champion. So it's like, we thought, okay, it's gonna be in good hands with John Blachowicz when he won, but then Glover beat him, and you're like, okay, it's not in good hands. Lightweight divisions and that light heavyweight division, it's in shambles right now.
Yeah, I mean, and coming out right now, the odds, he's plus 165, and he's a champ. You have Shevchenko versus Santos, women's flyweight title by Wei Li.
Who Santos? Who's that?
This is what you said.
Bad card, bro.
This is what UFC 275 is saying that it's going to be.
Yeah.
Wei Li and Joanna.
Yeah.
Third fight.
Wei Li and Joanna. So that's 2 women fights. Whatever. Then you have Choi Kulabo, Emiv versus I mean, not a lot of big names here, guys. So I agree with the pay-per-view. It's probably a fight night. Should be a fight night. Another girl fight, Juarez versus Na. Wait, there's 1, 2.
Yeah,
there's 4.
There was one time, the last time that Glover fought in the middle of the day, they gave it to us for free on ESPN Plus, and it was a numbered pay-per-view.
Maybe that might happen.
Maybe it happens again. I don't know. It's going to be in prime time. Oh no, actually, it's in Singapore.
Yeah,
maybe it happens, Roland. Maybe it happens.
Saturday, June 11th, 9 p.m. Central Time, Singapore Indoor Stadium.
Yeah, shout out.
Maybe it happens. Another freebie.
Shout out to Glover for being the champ in what used to be, to me, the most exciting division, or one of the more exciting divisions.
Exactly.
They used to say the light heavyweight champion is the baddest man on the planet. They used to say things like that, and no one says that now.
Not anymore.
All right. Well, that was the fourth quarter, but we got overtime.